Let's start this video out looking at an indoor bazaar in Saudi Arabia. This is the place where you can go and just buy just about anything. Welcome back and hello from Saudi. We are going to be talking about an important subject today. We're going to discuss the security clearance. We're going to discuss what it is, why it is, and what you need to know about it. Because to work an overseas job on a military base, you're going to need one. And to work a job on a military base in the United States, if it's in a certain field, a certain group of fields, you will need one as well. And you'll have it even to go back and work state jobs and things along those lines. Even a lot of civilian jobs that work in infrastructure and things along that, public infrastructure and working at large server farms and things, you'll need that security clearance as well, because it's considered matters of national security. So I hope you'll find this video to be interesting, and we'll get started in just a moment. After years of military contracting overseas, and I'm getting ready to retire, I thought I would pass on the information that I learned over years of working abroad to inspire others to reach out, check out the world, see the jobs that are overseas, and learn something about yourself. Right. Let's talk about the security clearance. First of all, what is it? Why is it? If you are going to be working an overseas job and you are going to be dealing with sensitive information, that might be information that's flowing over networks, all right, computer networks. That also might be documents like that as well. It might be working around technical equipment, radio equipment, satellite equipment, network gear, computer equipment of all different kinds. You might be working around sensitive military equipment. You might be working around weaponry, or you might be working around armored vehicles, things like that. Okay? Where you never know. There could be things like ammunition and stuff like that, weapons that could be around in racks and things. You're going to need secret clearances for this. So those are going to be the kind of jobs overseas. Pretty much if you're going to be working on a military base overseas, they're going to want you to have your secret clearance. All right. Now, there are different levels to the secret clearance. And as you go on in your career, you will work your way through those depending upon if you move up to certain higher security jobs. In this discussion, we're going to be talking about the secret clearance, which is going to be a very common level that you will get to go work overseas, your secret clearance. All right. Now, I've done a video before that talks a little bit about things that could be issues that could come up that could keep you from getting your secret clearance. All right. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in this video as well. But the secret clearance is going to be in your name, so it can go from job to job. So that's a great thing. It lasts for about 10 years as well. So you can move to different jobs, different companies. The secret clearance goes with you. All right. So that talks about what the secret clearance is. And it also talks about why you need it, what kind of gear, what kind of equipment you're going to be working around. All right. They want to make sure that you can be trusted around this equipment. There's going to be a lot of sensitive information, sensitive equipment. They want to know that you can be trusted around it and that it won't get out to adversaries that they don't want to know that information or about that equipment. That you are going to be able to maintain a level of secrecy over that data, networks, working with the equipment, things like that. All right. So that gives you a little breakdown on what the secret clearance is, how it works, and the types of jobs that will require it. All of your IT jobs, desktop support, network administrator, server administrator, cybersecurity. They have something called information assurance, which is just kind of following up on people who have done something malicious with their computer and they have to get it taken care of. They use their computer in an inappropriate way. They have to deal with that. It's another job that another IA related job overseas. They all require a secret clearance. If you're going to carry a firearm in a security job overseas, some type of security work, you will need a secret clearance. All right? Okay. So when you apply for a job overseas, if you don't have your secret clearance already, maybe through military work, state work, or whatever, however you may have gotten your secret clearance already, part of the interview process is they're going to find out if you're going to be able to pass your secret clearance. All right? And we're going to talk about the 3 phases. The 3 phases of getting your secret clearance. The 3 phases of that investigation into you. We'll go over all 3. But just at this point, I just want to mention that during the interview process, they're going to let you know the secret clearance is going to be done. This investigation is going to happen. The investigation will be intrusive into your life. So they make sure that it's okay. Why move forward with the process of hiring you if you're not okay with that? All right? And basically that's just something to understand. That, and I mentioned it earlier that this secret clearance, after it's done, it's yours. It goes with you. All right? So it's not just with the job. There is also the possibility that if you don't have a secret clearance right now, you might get hired in lieu of that secret clearance because the process is going through to get you investigated. It all depends on how much they need you in that position. They may do what's called a temporary, or they may do an interim. It's called interim clearance. All right. These are some of the things that you might run into during that interview process to get you started and get you spun up to start moving your way towards that overseas job. All right. The next thing that we're going to discuss is we're going to discuss the 3 phases of the secret clearance investigation. The first phase that you can look at, that you will be dealing with in the investigation that you'll have for a secret clearance, is going to be for you to have proper identification, proof of citizenship, any ID cards that you have, things like that. You will most likely have to go to either a military base or some place in your area where you will have fingerprints done, things along those lines. Okay, fingerprints and photographs taken. It could be a lot of things. It could be a reserve center near you, all those type of places like that. They will have an ID office, and they may have you go down, and all of that will be done. Your fingerprints, photographs, and all of your ID documentations, your birth certificates, your social security cards, any IDs that you have, proof of citizenships, everything must be brought down. Great if you have a passport, it works out great because it just covers almost everything at once. Because you need all that to get a passport. So if you already have an active passport, it just kind of covers you for like everything that they ask for. You just, you can just bring that. And getting that information, okay, that's your first step. Then they have you fill out what's called the SF-86. This is a questionnaire. This questionnaire is going to go over basically the kinds of things that phase 2 is going to include, which is an investigation into you. All right. They are going to ask you basically all these questions about your life. Have you been a member of a group that is subversive to the U.S.? Do you have criminal record? Do you have DUI record? Do you have domestic violence record? Do you have debts? Do you have significant debts where you have a collection agency following you? Okay, things like that, liens on you. Have you worked overseas before? What countries have you visited? Have you worked for companies overseas? Um, were you in the military? Were you kicked out of the military? Why were you kicked out of the military? All these kinds of things. Even they may ask you questions like, can you pass a drug test? Okay, if you get asked, can you pass a drug test? Do you have a history of, have you used drugs in the background? All that, the SF-86 covers all these kind of things, the questionnaire. Okay, it's going to ask you all these questions to get ready. And that questionnaire and then that process of identifying yourself and your citizenship, that makes up the first phase of your secret clearance investigation. All right? Okay, now let's talk about phase 2 of the secret clearance investigation and what that's going to entail. What's going to happen is that a professional investigator, and they come from different places. First of all, there are government investigators that are actually part of a government agency where they investigate. It's like an investigator agency for the U.S. government. And they go out and they investigate folks for secret clearances. That's what they do for a living. They will physically go out and meet with you and ask you a variety of questions. Okay? They are also backed up sometimes by civilian companies that are, again, professional investigators. In fact, a lot of times they're retired from the government and then they go work for one of these private companies doing the exact same job. They go out and investigate people for secret clearances. It's just they're basically an employee of an investigator company, but they have the same authority to go do this job. They will go to you and they will ask questions to you, your family members. They will go to your friends, your close friends. They will go to people from your background, old teachers. They will go to your past employers. They will go to neighbors of yours. And they will sit down and talk to all of them. If this sounds intrusive, it is. And you need to be aware of that. All right? That investigator going out and doing these questions, asking them much of what the SF-86 we talked about, all right? Same type things. Have you ever noticed that he is a member of a group that's subversive to the U.S.? Have you noticed that he's used drugs? Do you know if he's involved in any type of criminal activity? What are your thoughts? So they'll say that. What are your thoughts on this individual? What are your thoughts of them? What's your assessment of this person? Okay. They'll ask all these people these questions about you. All right. Now, when you think about it, all those people also know you're applying for a government job or a job working for the government. Okay. So that's phase 2, is the investigator going out and doing this investigation. All right. Now, let's talk about the third phase of a secret clearance investigation. This phase, you are going to go and you're going to sit down and talk to a professional evaluator of your psychological condition. This will be maybe a clinical psychologist, something like that. Someone that has been contracted by the government to sit down with you and perform this, and usually it's someone that in your area where you live, this is something that they get contracted all the time. So they are used to what they're doing. They already understand the questions. They already understand what they're supposed to be asking you. They understand what they're looking for. Maybe they've been through some training on this. But on the side of doing their regular clinical psychological evaluations and talking as a therapist with their patients, they probably also do this for the government as well. And this is what they get paid for. They're being contracted, okay? And you will go in and sit down and you will talk to this individual. This is not something that you have to prepare for. You're going to go in, you're going to be yourself, be calm, be confident, be humble in the way that you present yourself, but be confident, all right, and be personable. They're going to ask you questions about your childhood. They're going to ask you questions about your parents. You're going to ask you questions about your life, about how you feel psychologically. Have you been depressed? Have you gone through depression? Just answer these questions honestly. Okay. Basically, they're trying to get a feel for you before you get this. That make sure that you are in a good place mentally. Okay, that you're in a good place mentally. And that's going to be part of the third phase investigation, is to go get a full psychological evaluation from a professional. Also, part of the third phase is to go get drug tested. Now, we talked about for an overseas job, part of the physical is going to be to get drug tested. Okay, just be aware that if you don't have a secret clearance yet, you may end up going to another drug test. The reason being that it's two different operations. You have your company is setting you up for a workplace physical to go overseas. That's going to include a drug test battery. But this is for your secret clearance. This is separate. This is an organization that is setting up to get you certified for a secret clearance. And so they might be contracting with someone else even. And you're going to go there and do a drug test, all right? So just be aware of that it's a separate thing with probably another drug test. And that, the psychological evaluation and the drug test, is going to be the third phase of this secret clearance investigation. Okay, so that's the three phases of the investigation. And you will, fingers crossed, do well on these, and they will give you an interim clearance, and then it becomes a secret clearance later. That also gives you time to start doing your physical. A lot of times, if you're going overseas, companies will say, okay, now that you've got this interim, we're going to have you do our company training online. You're going to do your physical examination, the drug test for your company. All these things are getting set up. We're setting up your pay, your medical. We're setting up some, maybe like if they have a 401k, all this stuff has to get done. So there's time. So all of that's getting done to get you ready to go while the secret clearance is finishing up. And then usually the company will, depending upon what the situation is, they will usually say, okay, you got everything done. The second we hear back from them that you have your clearance, be ready to be on a plane. Okay? Because they're going to send you off to contractor training. So that's pretty much it. Okay? That's your three phases of the security clearance and what you can expect. That is actually what you can expect. All right? And I hope this has cleared up the security clearance at the secret level. Okay, that's what we're talking about, the secret level. And don't let it hold you back. I want you to apply for these jobs overseas. And I wish you all the best on that. I hope this has been helpful. And we will talk again.